Hello everybody, it's the War Hipster here, coming at you with another Contrast Plus painting tutorial from the worlds of Warhammer Underworlds. Yes, we are back once more with Spitewood, the new expansion set that Games Workshop very kindly sent me early to build up and paint with all of you, and that is exactly what we're going to be doing today. So a massive thank you to them for this, because these are beautiful. I love these models. I think they're fantastic. So we are going to jump in and we're going to start painting them in just a sec. Now, they've all been primed in Wraithbone, and the thing we're going to do first is focus on these two, on their sort of lower bodies. Then we're going to do this lower body, and then all three we will come together at the end to do at the same time. So, as mentioned, they've all been primed in Wraithbone, and the colour that we're going to be using first is Seraphim Sepia. And we're going to be applying this over the top of the entirety of, well, of the horsey bit, or the lower half of the models. So, I'm just going to start just here. I'm going to apply the Seraphim Sepia over the top. So with that all done, what we're now going to do is we're going to take a roughly 4 parts Gore-Grunta Fur to 2 parts Lamy and Medium Mix. And we were doing just a little bit of kind of blending, but it doesn't actually matter too much if the blending's a bit rough here, because we're going to do a little bit of feathering later on just to sort it out, because that's the way it looks on the box art. Anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to take this Gore-Grunta Fur and we're going to apply this over the top of the outside of the body, basically. So we're going to do this down the leg, like so. I'm going to come up to the knee, so this one's nice and simple. There we go. Come up around the underside. There we are. And what you'll see, it's basically a hard transition line going along there. That is basically exactly what we want for the leg. Because again, I'm going to deal with it a little bit later. However, for the body here, what we're going to do is going to take a little bit more of that Gore-Grunta Fur mix and apply it in line with the leg up to there, like so. We're then going to wash the brush, touch off the water, and then what we're going to do is we're just going to soften that transition over the tummy by feathering away at it like that. Then going to fully block in this bit. Like so. Flip it round. Do the other side. Like so. I think we're all good on that front. And then what we've got is the back legs and the rear hindquarters. Basically what I want to do here is, it's kind of twofold blending in many ways. So we're going to be going down, avoiding the kind of the sinew in here. So we want to apply this like that. Wash brush, touch off the water, soften the transition just there, absorb that, don't need as much there. And then on the leg and the hindquarters, what we want to do is we want to do this much of the hindquarters, and again just avoid that sinew like so. We're going to bring it down like that sort of thing. Wash the brush, touch off the water, and then we're going to blend it up the tail like that. But then we're going to come down the leg like so. Then we're going to wash the brush, touch off the water, then we're going to blend it over the ankle like that. And again, we're going to have that hard transition, but that's okay. That's exactly what we want. For this individual, it's the same mix, and it's a little bit easier, this one. So what we're going to do is we're going to apply the Gore-Grunta Fur and Lamia medium mix there. We're going to wash the brush, touch off the water, then we're going to blend. Like so. We're then going to, once again, covering the entirety of the back. Like so. And then over the top of the hindquarters, what we're basically going to do is we're just going to do a big old smear of it like so. We're then going to wash the brush, touch off the water, and then we're going to blend all of it. So with that all done, just over the top of our axe wielder over here, what we're going to do is we're going to take that exact same mix again, and just over the top of the hindquarters, we're basically going to do a slightly smaller blend. So this is roughly 4 parts Gore-Grunta Fur to 2 parts Lamia medium, and we're just going to apply this like so over the top of the hindquarters, coming down to around about there, like that. We're then going to wash the brush, touch off the water, then we're just going to blend it once more. So with that all done, we can actually put these two to one side, because the details are basically exactly the same going forward after this. So what we're going to do on this one is we're going to take some Agrax Earthshade, and the techniques are basically the same here. We're going to be applying this over top of the entirety of this individual's body. And so with that Agrax Earthshade all applied, we're then going to take a roughly 4 parts Cygor Brown to 2 parts Lamia medium mix. And we're going to use this to do the same kind of blendy dry brush, not dry brush, the blendy layer that we did before on our other individuals. This is going to be more like the first one that we did. And there's a lot more of it to blend. So as mentioned, going forward, things are broadly going to be very, very, very similar from the rest of the kind of base coats, and that's exactly what we're going to work on next. So we're going to focus on this guy because I think he's the coolest. But if something, of course, comes up, we will point it out. So the colour we're going to be using first on this next stage is some Wyldwood, and we're going to be applying this over top of all of their hooves. So with that all done, our next colour is going to be some Black Legion, and we're going to apply this over top of all the strappy leather details. And so with that Black Legion all applied, we're then going to take some Skeleton Horde, and we're going to apply this over the top of the sort of bladed tail and the little piercings along the length of the tail. And so with that Skeleton Horde applied, we're now going to take some Guilliman Flesh. And we're going to apply this over top of, well, all the flesh. With all that Guilliman Flesh applied, we're then going to take some Gryph-Hound Orange. And we're going to apply this over top of all the hair. And with that Gryph-Hound Orange applied and drying, what we're going to do is we're going to take some Flesh Tearers Red. And we're going to apply this over top of all of the kind of, well, the sort of wicker woven armour. And so with that all done, we're now going to take some Wyldwood, and we're going to apply this over top of the antlers, as well as any other wood. So this is going to be basically like the arrows and the bow on the other individual. And so with that all done, we're then going to take some Striking Scorpion Green. I'm going to apply this over top of the little kind of sort of heart-shaped thing that each of them have in their tummies. Just like that. So with that all done, we're now going to take some thinned down Iron Warriors. And we're going to apply this over top of any blades and any belt buckles. And with all that Iron Warriors applied, we're then going to take some thinned down Retributor Armour. And we're going to apply this over top of all of our remaining details. And it's not all going to stay the same gold. Don't you worry about that. For now, I'm just going to get this over top of all the trim, all the decorative areas. And then we'll be right back. So with all that Retributor Armour applied, what we're then going to do is we're going to take some thinned down Liberator Gold. And we're going to apply this over top of all of the trim and all of the gold plate armor, for lack of a better word. So it's going to be the sort of the chest plates, the helmets and things like that. Whereas for stuff like the sort of decorative details on the weapons and stuff, we're not going to be applying this. We're going to have two different types of gold going on here. So with that all done, it's now time to add some shades. The first of these is going to be some Reikland Fleshshade. And we're going to apply this over top of the Retributor Armour areas that we left. So this is going to be areas like this scale mail here, and those decorative parts of the weapon. In addition to all of the Retributor Armour, we're also going to be applying the Reikland Fleshshade over the top of all the Flesh Tearers Red. With that all done, we're then going to take some Fuegan Orange. I'm going to use this over the top of their skin. With that all done, we're then going to take some Poxwalker. I'm going to use this over the top of the Liberator Gold. And so with that all done, we're then going to take some Nuln Oil, and we're going to apply this over top of the silver across all three of our individuals. So with those shades all applied, our models are now at what I would call a War Hipster battle ready, and they're looking pretty good. However, we're of course not going to leave them there. No, we're going to take them to the next level. I'm going to do this by adding some highlights. Now, the first of these is going to be on these two, and what we're going to do is we're going to fuzz those edges. So, the colour we're going to be using first is some thinned down Screaming Skull, and what we're going to do is on the body where we've got those hard transitions, and the best way to kind of tackle this is probably going to be just under here, under the leg where you guys can see it, is we're going to take the Screaming Skull. I'm going to use this to add lots of little tiny lines going across the area where we have that transition line. Just like that sort of thing. So with that Screaming Skull all applied, we're then going to go back the other way, but also highlight the other muscles in exactly the same way using some thinned down Deathclaw Brown. So for example here, across the tummy, we're going to just very gently apply lots of tiny little lines. Going that way, like that. But similarly, around the muscles in the dark brown. And so with that all done, we're then going to take some thinned down Ungor Flesh. And just over the sharpest parts and little corners, we're going to do a very similar thing in the brown flesh. So with that all done on these two, we're now going to work on our third, which is this one. We're going to be using slightly different colours for this, but the theory is exactly the same. So the colour we're going to be using first is some thinned down Rakarth Flesh. And this is where we're going to now start fuzzing those edges. And similarly to our other two, we're then going to take some thinned down Bloodreaver Flesh. I'm going to do this going back the other way. As well as using this to do that highlight. Along the muscles. And so with that all done, we then take some thinned down Knight-Questor Flesh, and we use this once again just to add some little spot highlights in the same way to the sharpest points. So with that all done, we can now move on to those generic details, as it were. So what we're going to do next is we're going to take some thinned down Karak Stone. We're going to use this to highlight the antlers and the wood and the hooves. So with that all done, we're now going to take some thinned down Dawnstone, and we're going to use this to highlight all the black details. So with that all done, we're now going to take some thinned down Corax White. I'm going to use this to pick out all these little Kurnoth symbols scattered around all three of the models. These little antler things. And so with that all done, we're then going to take some thinned down Wazdakka Red. I'm going to use this to highlight the red. So with that Wazdakka Red applied, we're then going to take some thinned down Flayed One Flesh. I'm going to use this to highlight the skin. With that all done, we then take a tiny amount of Black Legion. We're going to apply this over top of all of their eyeballs. And with that Black Legion all applied, we then take some tiny little dots of Screaming Skull and we're going to apply this in the corners of the eyeballs. So with that all done, we're then going to take some thinned down Iron Breaker and we're going to use this to highlight the silver. And so with that all done, we're now going to take some thinned down Liberator Gold. And we're going to use this to highlight both sets of gold. And so with that all done, to finish off Kurnoth's Heralds, we're going to take some Luxion Purple and we're going to apply this over top of the gems. So with that all done, Kurnoth's Heralds are now finished, except for the bases, which we are now going to do very, very quickly indeed, because we've got a very nice simple scheme for those. So what we're going to do is we're going to start by taking some Ratling Grime, and we're going to use this over the top of all of the soil. With all that Ratling Grime applied, we're then going to take some Black Templar and we're going to apply this over the top of the rocks. With that all done, we're then going to take some Gryph-Hound Orange. We're going to apply this over top of the little bud in the middle of each of the flowers. And with that Gryph-Hound Orange applied, we then take some Luxion Purple. I'm going to apply this over top of the leaves or petals. And so to fully finish off, what we're going to do is we're going to dry brush the base with some Tyrant Skull. And so with our bases now complete, Kurnoth's Heralds are finished. And, well, I think we've all been waiting for this type of thing to become a whole faction in Age of Sigmar, and we have yet another tease here. This is like the second iteration of sort of Centaurish dear people. And, well, I really like them. They're really fun, very characterful, very beautiful models. Probably one of my favourite Warhammer Underworlds warbands ever. If you enjoyed this video, you love the channel, and you'd like to support me further, you absolutely can do so by heading to patreon.com/warhipster, just like all of these wonderful, amazing people have done. And alternatively, you could become a YouTube channel member by clicking on the join button below, exactly like these fabulous folks have done, scrolling up on the screen before you. There are so many of you out there that it really takes my breath away, and I cannot thank you enough for everything you do, as without you I wouldn't be able to keep making these Contrast Plus videos. And if you really like this video and you want to send me a little thanks, just click on the thanks button just below this video. Don't forget to share it, like it, comment on it, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and to make sure you stay up to date, don't forget to click the bell icon. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all very soon in the next one. Happy wargaming.